Hi, this is John Brower from Real Good Ventures. Welcome to the Bosshole Chronicles. Co-hosting with me, as always, Sarah Best. How you doing?
Hey, John. I'm good. I'm good. Good episode today. It's going to be fun.
This is so unique. You set this up. Tell us who we're talking to today and why.
I'm happy to share, John, that we have two guests, two subject matter experts today, and this is an applied, it's almost like a mini workshop.
Yeah.
Featured today, Lisa McLeod. She is author of the book, Selling with Noble Purpose, How to Drive Revenue and Do Work That Makes You Proud. She's also founder of McLeod and More. She's an HBR contributor. She's a LinkedIn instructor. She also is author of a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn called Work on Purpose. So she combined between the newsletter and LinkedIn, she's got almost 100,000 followers. She's worked with companies like Salesforce, Google, LinkedIn, Dave & Buster's. Her framework is amazing. And our second guest actually read her book and has applied that framework in a sales environment, national sales environment. So we'll be talking to Tom Kelly. Mm-hmm. He's a results-driven leader and experienced beverage industry veteran. He's worked for companies like Coca-Cola, North America, Dr. Pepper, Snapple, Keurig Dr. Pepper. He's been in the industry for a couple of decades. Tom has actually taken her work, her framework, and worked and created a purpose statement with his team. And together, they're going to kind of unpack how that happens and what was the result. Great to have both of these guests. Should we jump in?
Let's do it. I love how these threads are connecting, and let's get to the episode. The Bosshole Chronicles are brought to you by Real Good Ventures, the talent optimization firm helping organizations diagnose their most critical people and execution issues with world-class analytics. Make sure to check out all the resources in the show notes and be sure to follow us and share your feedback. Enjoy today's episode.
Lisa, Tom, welcome to both of you. Welcome to the Bosshole Chronicles.
I don't know if I should be delighted or afraid to be here, but I'm here.
Great. Delighted.
Let's just declare, as subject matter experts, both, working different angles of a very important subject today on purpose. It's great to have you and to share your experience. Lisa, we'd love to start with you and just give us a sense of the journey that led you to the framework and the writing of your book, Selling with Noble Purpose, and just what got you to where you are today.
So it was a combination of two lanes. I'm a longtime sales leader. I've been a VP of sales. Then I was a sales consultant. And in sales, we know there's a lot of key metrics that are important. We know that there's a lot of behaviors. But I also, over time, could sense that there was something else sitting underneath top sales performance. And through a research study that I did, I was able to identify that the thing that differentiates top performers from good performers, and this is a really important nuance here, the top from the good, the thing that differentiates them, both in individual performance and company performance, is this strong overarching sense of purpose. And by purpose, I mean salespeople who truly want to make a difference to their customers outperform salespeople focused on targets and quotas. And so that led me to write the book, Selling with Noble Purpose. And I'm eager to hear from Tom because he's had a long time career in sales and leadership. And he, I think, probably can also articulate when you're down the trenches, the difference between managing to the numbers, which is what we're taught to do, versus leading to a higher purpose. And those two words are really important. We manage to the numbers, but we want to lead to this sense of higher purpose. And the research tells us companies with a purpose bigger than money make more money. They outperform the market by over 350%. So from a listener standpoint, one of the reasons I love the title of your show, the Bosshole concept, because one of the reasons a lot of people turn into boss holes is because they're just trying to manage to the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And people perceive them as ruthless when all they're doing is trying to manage to what was put in front of them. So I'd be curious. I want to hear from Tom how he used this concept to drive performance and hopefully emotional engagement, but we're about to find out.
Yep. No, so 30 plus years in corporate America, and also a short-term stint with an entrepreneurial adventure. But Lisa, I just came across your book probably in early 2019, and it was just a random LinkedIn post that I think someone in my network liked or put a comment on something that you had done or said, and like, oh, this is interesting, because again, like to your point, all of us, when you're in sales, you have performance metrics, you're being measured, and just reading a little bit about your post and stuff, and I said this sounds so interesting and something I need to look into more to just elevate that conversation or elevate the discussion with the team on that purpose. So I did a little research on your book and purchased the book and dove into it, took a lot of notes, and decided to launch that with the team here in later on that year.
So did you all wind up creating a noble purpose?
Yes.
Okay, there's got to be a drum roll here because we got to know what it is.
Sure.
I think I can insert that. I think I can do that.
A drum roll?
Yeah. A drum roll, sure.
Perfect. No, well, Lisa, after diving through the book, I just pretty much followed your process. So, we had in the industry I was in, which was beverages, we had an annual planning season or time of the year. And we would always bring the team in together before we would go out and kind of kick off annual planning with our customers, our distributors, you name it. So that typically took place in the summer around July. So leading up to that meeting, I carved out about a half a day just for the team to create and define a purpose statement, a noble purpose statement. So followed your process that you had outlined in the book. And the first thing I did was I got engaged with them leading up to the meeting and said, this is what we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it. And also those 3 discovery questions that, you recommended, we do as part of the book, but which is how do I asked the team to really think about this, spend some energy on it, but how do you make a difference? How do you do it differently from your competition? And on your best day, what do you love most about your job? And then when we came into the meeting, I had them share that. Each one of them got up individually. It was a team of 6 people. I had 4 regional sales managers, commercialization manager, which is kind of like a field marketing person, and a national account manager at the time. So, at least I don't know if you want to, I'll kick it back to you if you want to talk about why you do those 3 big discovery questions and how important they are to this whole process.
Well, first of all, I know this is audio, but I'm smiling so hard. I'm so excited. What I hope people are hearing that Tom did, and we asked these 3 questions, and I hope people are hearing. Do you notice what he asked his team? Mm-hmm. How do you make a difference? He didn't say what makes our product unique. What makes our offering unique? He asked something very different, and it's in the book. You followed the book exactly. How do you make a difference? Because the thing I want to draw people's attention to here is everyone's talking about purpose. It's like all the cool kids have purpose now. There's a couple things people get wrong about purpose. Number one, they think it's doing social good. It's not. Purpose-driven companies tend to be socially good, but all the ESG metrics, the community, all that's window dressing. It's important if you want to, that's an important thing to do, but that's not what purpose is. People also think that purpose is we're going to make the world a better place, or we're some big vague statement that people don't know. And I hope that's not your statement because you haven't told us yours yet. Or they'll think we want to be the go-to market leader in our category and serve our customers and our blah, 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 blah. That's not it either. Because what Tom did, and I want to go back to you and hear what your statement is, and I'm so praying right now that it's good, as I bet you are too, is he asked, how do we make a difference to our customers? And this whole idea, people talk about customer centricity, this is going beyond that. This is going to customer impact. So, and then he asked his team, so imagine you're one of Tom's people. What are you thinking? How do I make a difference? How do I do it differently? What do I love? So instead of thinking about what are our cool widgets, like that's important, they're thinking, what impact am I having in my job? That's the magic. So tell us. I feel like we're like at a cliffhanger.
Well, I'm gonna keep you hanging for a few more seconds, Lisa, because I'm gonna keep diving into the process because it works so well.
And I love the process because I wrote it. I'm super happy about that.
No, we just followed your book, but everyone stood up and they communicated and talked about those three questions, and we were flip charting and we were capturing all the thoughts. And one of the things you recommended was, what are the key themes, the commonalities, the like the buzzwords that we're all hearing that all bubbled up, and we had dozens and dozens of words and thoughts and everything. And I know in your book said it's going to take a lot of time to get to that purpose statement. It just doesn't happen like that, because there's a lot of discussion and you really parse that statement, that purpose statement in a big way. But I mean, we made multiple passes at it, but where we landed on it, and again, it's a beverage company, but we landed on, this is our purpose statement: we drive growth by unleashing the power of the brand through creative and insightful solutions. So a lot of the key words were solutions, growth. All of our customers and distributors were so focused on growth, and what the team does so well was the creativity, the providing the insights on how we're going to make the customers grow. And if we can make the customers grow and grow their business, we're going to hit our performance metrics. The company will, their company will, and at the end of the day, everyone should be happy if that's what we're trying to achieve. We call it our North Star.
Right.
Like I said, if we don't wake up every morning and this is what if we're doing something that doesn't apply to this purpose about growth, about providing insights and solutions, solutions was a big thing, then we don't need to do it, or we need to go focus on those areas where that does come into play.
That is great. So I want to show people why this is so good. So imagine Tom was not the leader that he was, and didn't read the book. And he said, we need a purpose. And the team's purpose was, we drive our own growth, or we want to be number one in the market. Imagine that. Okay. And every day the person's waking up thinking, I want to be number one in the market. I want to be number one in the market. I've got to hit my numbers, hit my numbers, hit my numbers. If you've got well-intended people who want to do a good job, you'll probably run a very fine company that way. But now hear the difference in Tom's team. In Tom's team, they're saying, waking up, it's so subtle, but so huge. How am I driving growth for my customers? How am I coming up with creative solutions for my customers? So if they're competing against a team that's waking up every day saying, how can I be number one, with that pretty good leader who's given his or her team all the KPIs, set the North Star of, we want our company to be number one, that's a pretty good leader. That team, they're going to be pretty good. But if they're competing against a team like Tom's team, that's waking up every day saying, how can I drive growth for my customers? How can I bring more creative solutions? All of the research tells us Tom's team will outperform the market by 350%. Tom's team will be more innovative. Tom's team will have greater customer engagement. And here's the other thing. In the face of setbacks and change, his team has a true north that they can hold on to through no matter what happens. That team that's aligned against driving their own numbers, then goes off the rail, everybody's losing it. They're all in their lizard brain. They become crazy, graspy, desperate salespeople.
Right.
Whereas Tom's team, and I hope you're going to tell us this worked, is got that true north. So what happened when you did it?
Well, like I said, we kicked off this whole process in the summer, so July, and then we had our annual planning sessions. We kicked off with our distributors, our bottlers in late summer, early fall. So we led with and again, Lisa, this goes back to your book, with what the recommendations were. Talk to the customer about it, communicate it to your customer. And when we kicked off those planning sessions, we led with that purpose statement. We said, this is our North Star, hold us accountable to this, and this is how we want to collaborate and work with you, is to focus on the growth. We're going to provide solutions. But the solutions, if it's a collaborative planning with your customer too, it's not going to be all of us saying, here, you need to go do this. These are the solutions. It's a collaborative effort where you're working with your customers to come up with those solutions to drive that growth and to drive those insights. So the team bought into it. They were very engaged. I should say too, we probably had, with the 6 people and counting myself, over 100 years of experience. So we had a lot of great experience, and individual contributors, leaders. Some of these folks went on to become managers, and but they bought into it. They were highly engaged, and the customers appreciated it too. That was our focus, was growth, because that was obviously a big focus of theirs as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is well, first of all, I love this type of interview for the Bosshole Chronicles because we get to sit back and listen to the story. But Tom, I came up through sales and sales management, as did Sarah. And of course, Lisa, you did too. When you read this, you had to look at it and realize this is a completely different approach than 90% of all the noise that is out there around sales and sales management. And I got tired of it too. It's like, in reality, the most successful salespeople and managers have been consultative by nature, have been people developers, and have had a higher purpose, more altruistic purpose. And I love words, and I looked it up because I think you just sort of framed it for us. When I think of the word noble, it says, at least this definition, having or showing fine personal qualities or high moral principles and ideals. So how do we elevate our team to have higher principles and realize this is not just about the bottom line? The bottom line will take care of itself. And Lisa, that's what you're emphasizing. But Lisa, did it drive you crazy that you came up with this amazing methodology that works, but all the other crap out there seemed to just be showcased or just had a more prominent place?
Did it drive me crazy? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it still driving me crazy? Yes. And until I my noble purpose, I'm going to change the sales profession.
Yes.
And I do want to say something, because I have been in sales. I've been in commission sales. I've been a business owner, and hitting your number matters.
Oh yeah.
These people that show up trying to make their number, you got to feed your family.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to take your family on a vacation. Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting money,
right,
at all. These are two parallel lanes. What you need to understand, though, is the money is a lagging indicator.
Mm-hmm.
And so how I came to this methodology, and I've been doing this for 10 years now. I landed on this about a decade ago based on a study that I did with a biotech company where we were able to isolate, and it happened by accident, this sense of purpose. And Tom probably knows the story because it's in the book. So teaser, read the book. But it is, I'll give you two analogies to compare it to. It is like we took a group of teachers and said, hit the test scores, hit the test scores, hit the test scores, hit the test scores. There will be a small sliver of those teachers who will be creating a love of learning and creating future leaders, and their test scores will be better.
Mm-hmm.
But if the cadence every day is hit the test scores, hit the test scores, hit the test scores, we will create a transactional environment where nobody's happy. And that's what's happening in sales. And there is this small sliver of people. And it's not that they don't care about money. It's not that they don't want to make the deal, but they are operating at a higher level, and they don't give away stuff for free. Again, It's not ESG. It's not given to charity. All that's great. But they understand this thing that I sell at full price has a dramatic positive impact on my customer.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to help them get there. So another analogy, I have broken a 25-year ban on sports analogies, and I'm going to do a sports analogy here.
Another drum roll.
Yes. The way to think about noble purpose in business is to think about figure skating. In competitive figure skating, there are two scores: technical merit and artistic impression. I am not a figure skater. I watch figure skating every 4 years. So how many times at the Olympics? How many times did I watch figure skating? 10, whatever. The technical merit, if you do not have the technical merit, if you can't do the jumps, if you can't do the turns, you don't even get to the Olympics. If you blow your technical merit at the Olympics, you will lose, but you don't win on technical merit. The winners win on artistic impression, because technical merit is the table stakes. So all those things that we teach salespeople about understanding your product and the way to talk about it and how to make sales calls and the questioning skills, all matters. It's technical merit. This is that artistic impression, which is a little more qualitative. But the reason I use ice skating is you know it when you see it. I was watching ice skating with my 70-year-old father, and he said, "You can tell that guy's going to win." Because he was so good. And so what Tom has done with his team is he's captured that esprit de corps. And you can't just, we've told salespeople for decades, lean in, be consultative, ask better questions. And some of them do it, some of them don't. But what we have to give them is a true north that says, when you go in this sales call, you're here to make a difference. You're here to use what we've got to improve life for the customer. It changes everything. So what I'm curious from Tom, what your team's results were.
Well, we kicked this off in late 2019. So if you recall, something happened in early 2020. How
did this tether you during that time of change?
Yeah, but I mean, we were all working out of the house, but we still never deviated from the purpose because we had to provide solutions. We got more involved as salespeople with supply chain issues, like every salesperson across the world did, in 2020 and 2021. So again, we were still focused on this, on the purpose. We were still focused. Our performance, the business results went through the roof for everyone. But the great thing is our share continued to grow. So if your share is growing in a sales environment, you're winning. You're winning in the marketplace, and that's just not the 6 or the 7 of us in the team in Texas and Oklahoma. There's a lot of different, there's brand marketing, there's supply chain, there's R&D, there's innovation. All those people come into play. But with the customer, our focus didn't really change. We were still trying to provide solutions, and this completely different solutions from before the pandemic and then during the pandemic and after the pandemic. But Lisa, one other thing too that you call out in the book that I really try to do and I really believe in is you had mentioned about quick wins, and I can't remember the exact term you used, but the customer forward or the customer focus, kick off a meeting with tell us about a time or celebrate a win. So we would try to do that. We would recognition and celebrating wins and celebrating a great program or promotion that someone put together with the customer. We would celebrate the customers too, and through different incentives and all that. So that all that stuff came into play too within the context of this purpose statement.
All right, we'll be right back.
With employee disengagement at its highest level in 9 years, your company can't afford to miss the mark when it comes to optimizing your hiring, management, and team performance practices. At its lowest level, employee turnover costs you $11,000 per person. And those are dollars you can easily save with the right set of people analytics. Real Good Ventures is a talent optimization consultancy specializing in world-class analytics specific to your people and the critical role they play within your organization. Gain confidence in your hiring practices, keep the boss holes from driving your talent away, design your teams for flawless execution, and create a culture that offers meaning and fulfillment. Real Good Ventures has a family of validated diagnostic tools specific to the human aspect of business, because we know that all business issues are people issues. Visit us today at www.realgoodventures.com and bring meaning and fulfillment back into your workplace.
Okay, let's get back to the program.
So one of the things I hope people are hearing that Tom's doing there is something really important that most people don't do. Because in most meetings, we tell two kinds of stories. We tell the win story from the seller who closed the big deal. Sarah's amazing. Sarah closed this deal. We all love Sarah. Great. Does everyone love Sarah because she closed the big deal? Probably not her peers. Her peers are like, yeah, I'm taking Sarah down. But and it's important for Sarah to get recognition. Or we tell the story, oh, John closed this. Tell us how the client implemented it. It's a use case. That's helpful. But what Tom's doing is something different. Tom is telling a customer impact story, and he's saying, look at what happened to our customer as a result of our work. So what he's doing is he is showing people our true north. He's building belief, and he's telling everybody in the room our work matters. Because as a leader, so human beings have two fundamental needs once we get beyond food and shelter. And some people say these are equal to food and shelter: belonging and significance. I want to be part of something bigger than myself. Look at how we made a difference to the customer. That captures it. And I want to know that my role matters. Because when Tom says, let's share a customer win, and Sarah gets up and says, here's how we made a difference to this customer, I'm no longer envying Sarah because she's not winning at my expense.
Right.
She's showing me a win that I can now win. So a win for Sarah is a win for me because we're all here making a difference. And I want to be the one telling the story the next week about how I made a difference to my customer. And Tom's point about through COVID, it didn't fluctuate. Purpose is steadfast. And some research from Michigan State tells us that salespeople and other performers, and not just sales, who have a sense of purpose have greater tenacity and greater resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so huge.
Of course it's huge. Think about it. If it's just about me and making my money and making my number, I mean, I care. I'm going to give it my all. But at a certain point, I'm going to get burnt out. I'm going to get tired. I don't hit my number. Something goes south. I get discouraged. But if I know this matters to the customer, I'm going to live another day.
That's right.
But I think that is such a critical differentiator here, because in my years of sales and sales management, there are a lot of, you go back to the word transactional, Lisa, there are a lot of salespeople have no idea what really drives or interests their clients. They make the sale, they move on. And I hope I get that order the next month or the next quarter. I really am not invested and interested necessarily in how my service or my product actually elevates your business. And that's a huge component here, because when you do have that level of knowledge, that level of interest, and you are bought in, totally changes the profession entirely.
It does. And I'll tell you, in my experience, because we train salespeople all over the world, the salesperson is part of the equation, but it's what is the narrative inside the company. And I'll tell you a tell that we'll do, that when we do these big consulting projects, we'll look at the senior leadership town halls and do a Wordle. And we look at the percent. And there's a company in the book, Blackbaud, that had us do this. And it was great.
Wow.
We looked at the percent of time they spent talking about their own metrics versus the percent of time they spent talking about not customers in the generic, who are we going to close, how are we going to do, but customers in the specific, how did we make a difference to customers? And their CEO, Mike Giannone, great guy, was all in for this, ended up becoming tech CEO of the year, drove exponential earnings, and said, we're going to change this from 90-10 to 50-50. Again, no, it's 50-50. You still get to talk about all your financials. And they didn't even decrease the time. They added time to all their meetings to talk about how they made a difference to customers. Because the tell is always in the leadership story, is the percent of time you spend talking about one. It's what is your leadership airtime being spent on? What I want to be clear on is the reason we don't talk about this is because for the past 40 years, we've been trained not to.
Right.
We've been trained, don't talk about specific customers. You need to have a broader strategy. We've been trained to go for the shareholder primacy model. And so most of the people in this are not bad people, but the language is where the thoughts go. So the language that we use seeds the thoughts. If I was a teacher and I came in every day and I talked about test scores, this place is going to feel like a grind. But if I'm a teacher every day and I'm a history teacher and I talk about how are we going to be the citizens of the future? How are we understanding the past and making different decisions going forward? Well, we're going to have a very different classroom.
Yeah.
And that's what Tom has done. And he's proof too. I'm sure the company he worked for was very nice people. But what he's proof of is you don't have to wait for your CEO to get on board. You can do it by yourself with six people, or by yourself with yourself. Because that's what we saw in those top performers. They had a different true north.
I have to just point out too, we can't step over the fact that in this day and age, coming out of the pandemic, burnout and lack of engagement are severe challenges for most organizations and most sales teams. And I think this idea, it's not make money or make a difference. It's make a difference and you make money kind of deal.
Right.
That there's other benefits. You talk in your book about greater customer advocacy, more competitive differentiation. And who doesn't want that?
Right.
But the third one that you research and your work has proven is that teams are more emotionally engaged. And in our conversations, emotional commitment to the mission and the job is engagement. It absolutely is the definition of engagement. So as you highlight, not only the impact on the customer, now we're talking in terms of resilience and burnout prevention and just a way for people to more deeply connect themselves to what they're doing. This is critical. We can't keep operating the way we have without attending to and intentionally designing an environment where our employees can plug in with their hearts and their minds and bring their whole selves to the job.
That's right. And there's some generational things going on here.
Yeah.
People of my generation, everybody wants purpose and meaning in their life. Everyone. It is a core human need. Aristotle wrote about it. It's in all the work. Right. This transcends time. Having said that, a lot of people my age, I'm in my 50s, wanted it, but said, well, I guess I'll take money instead.
Right.
Because I'll make a living for my family. And in COVID, they kind of rethought that and went, does my work really matter? But here's the thing. All these people in their 50s, 60s, whatever, raised a bunch of kids that we said, you're special. You're going to change the world. And they believed us. And so this younger generation, while we may want purpose, they won't work without it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yep. That's powerful, Lisa.
So, Tom, back to this story of discovering Lisa's work and applying it, and looking forward, in your world of work. I would imagine this is something that right from the very beginning, you'll be using. I mean, it's sort of a standard foundational methodology for you now.
Yeah. And, we expanded on that too. I was a director at the time when this whole thing started. And about 6 months later, I was promoted to a VP for the entire Western United States. And there was 3 different divisions, like where I came out of, and I didn't do the same process within each division, but I shared what we did and the purpose statement that came out of all of that work. And then that was kind of incorporated into the other divisions' thinkings as well. And, I mentioned that, we kind of kicked off with the customer in that annual planning meeting with the purpose statement. But then even beyond that, each month, there might have been a business review with them or a meeting. And we would always kind of have that quote somewhere on the lead page, or we just, hey, just reminder, this is what we're all about. This is our purpose. We're here about growth. We're here about solutions with you. So that was incorporated by the entire teams, and everyone bought into it. So moving forward as well, John, to answer your question, this would be critically important to have that purpose, because again, it's just going back to our original conversation, it's elevating that to a next level. The performance metrics, the KPIs are always going to be there. It's, as Lisa said, we need those. We got to put food on the table for our families. That's why the companies exist, is to grow the business. But if you have that purpose, then, everyone, kind of gets out of the bed in the morning feeling a little bit differently about things.
Yeah. It's not an either or at all. This is a both and,
without a doubt.
Yeah. That's so cool. And just as a reminder to all of our listeners, go to the show notes. You will find all of the links to Lisa's books and her website and her LinkedIn profile and Tom's LinkedIn profile. Get to know these people, because this is a transformational story that started years ago. And thank goodness, because, last year we said we're going to start to reinvent the manager, because it's long overdue. And Lisa, you've got a great road. You've given a roadmap to make it happen. And Tom is living proof that can happen.
Yeah. And Tom and I didn't meet until today. And so I'll tell you something that is really just pleasing me, delighting me so much. You did what we hoped everyone would do. We wanted to write the book in a way that anyone could pick it up and could implement it on their own. So bravo to you. This just makes my heart sing, because I think kind of looping back, nobody shows up at work and says, hey, I want to be completely transactional. Hey, I want to be a boss hole. Hey, I want to be perceived as a money grubber with no feelings. Like no one shows up as that, but systemically, we're at a space where if everyone's just trying to lead to the numbers, that is what will happen. And so what this says, and I actually got that quote from a client, the CEO of Atlantic Capital Bank. And so I'll give you a before and after to show you this works in every industry. So the people at Wells Fargo are sitting in a room saying, how can we sell more? How can we sell more? I know, let's cross sell. We'll give everybody spiffs on cross selling. Did they say, let's cheat and lie and ruin our reputation? No, they did not. But they said, our true north, and I was at a banking conference when the CEO said it, our cross-selling is the centerpiece of our strategy. That is our goal. Compare that to Doug Williams, the CEO of Atlantic Capital Bank. We worked with them, created a purpose. Our purpose is to fuel prosperity. In every conversation, we want to talk about how are we fueling prosperity for our clients. They're a commercial bank. They are smaller than Wells Fargo, but they're a lot bigger than they used to be because at the same time, the CEO of Wells Fargo was being hauled in front of Congress. Doug Williams, the CEO of Atlantic Capital Bank, was on the cover of American Banker as Banker of the Year, for being voted a best place to work, for driving exponential revenue, for returning to shareholders, for doing all those things, because he set forth for his team a different true north. So their financial results way beyond Wells Fargo percentage-wise. And now this is the other thing about this purpose. Sarah, you made the point. It emotionally engages people. It also attracts people.
That's right.
Because you go interview at Wells Fargo and they say, how good are you at cross-selling? You go interview at Atlantic Capital Bank and they say, we fuel prosperity. Would you like to hear some stories about how we've helped customers? Where do you want to work?
Right on. Yep. Well, and it's the point you made. I don't know if I heard this in one of your YouTube talks or in the book. You know, our approach doesn't happen by declaration; it happens by default. Yes. And you create an opportunity to intentionally design the purpose and design the approach, which is all the difference in the world.
Yeah,
so powerful. Lisa, what's up next for you? What should we be looking for? I know you have, by the way, you have a very popular newsletter on LinkedIn, Work on Purpose, some 35,000 followers. What can we look for next from you?
So the thing that I am really doubling down on, follow me on LinkedIn because I do a LinkedIn Live every Friday. And what I'm doubling down on is really practical things that people can do as individual performers without waiting on their company to change, without waiting on their boss to change, but things people can do as individual performers to drive two lanes. One, performance, but the other lane is happiness at work. And how you can drive those two parallel lanes at the same time. So follow me on LinkedIn, and I do a live every Friday. This Friday, we're going to talk about how you can work when there's chaos in your home.
That's awesome. Well, it's so timely and relevant because I think a lot of people, well, and that's the reason John and I got into the business we're in. We want people to feel purpose and meaning and happiness and joy in their work. And there's a lot of people out there like you and Tom who are fighting for the same thing like we are. Yeah. So what a great resource you're going to continue to be. And Tom, we might offer that you are in transition currently and you're a great national sales leader, regional national sales leader. Any words from you about what kind of an experience you're looking for next?
No, I'm just looking, I had a little career transition here recently. So I'm just in the process of beginning to network and I'm just looking for my, next opportunity, but really just want to find a company or people that, share my values, believe in the product, believe in the brand, believe in the proposition, and just want to be able to provide value to whatever the next opportunity is. But I'm just kind of excited what the future holds, and we'll see where life goes.
Well, there's no doubt with the approach that you're accustomed to taking now, helping your team design purpose, you'll get great results.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. This has been awesome.
I just want to say thank you to Lisa too. It was just a random LinkedIn that I happened to see. You never know what you're going to see and not see on LinkedIn, I'm glad I stumbled across that, Lisa, because I'd highly recommend your book and the process. It's very easy to follow, and it's kind of proof in the pudding too with what I experienced with it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. You have made my day. You sit there, writing a book can be a very solitary thing. So knowing that it really helps someone makes my day.
Well,
Good.
this was great having you both here. We're so pleased.
Yeah. And we'll keep in touch. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Bosshole Chronicles.
We'd like to thank our guest today on the Bosshole Chronicles. And if you have a Bosshole Chronicles story of your own, please email us at mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. Once again, mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. We'll see you again soon.